All right. Hey guys, how you doing? Instead of come around to every service team and explain the same thing 6 different times, probably 6 different ways, thought we'd do this YouTube style. Just let me explain it once, and then you guys can come to me as you have questions. What I'm going to talk to you about is what the student service strategy team is asking you guys to do next. You've done process flows in the past. You've also done communication inventories. What we're going to do now is connect the two. And I'm going to give you a model for doing that. I'm going to draw it up here on the whiteboard. We'll see how well I can get through this. The first thing that we're going to do is we're going to do this for each process. The example that I'm looking at is communication with prospective students, parents and counselors. So this is something from admissions. First thing we're going to do is break the process into phases. If you flowed out your processes using top-level flow charts, this is those top-level steps. So let's say that this is the beginning, and this is the end. Theoretically, these phases are also coinciding with the phases of the student life cycle. So this might be the end of one student life cycle phase, the beginning of the next, and it might go through to hopefully get the student to the next phase. So we've got phase 1, 2, 3, and 4 in this example. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to break things up by media. So there are different kinds of media that you have for your communications. You've got those in your communications inventories. There are things like print, email, programs. So you've got the different kinds of communications that are in your communications inventory. Here's what we want you to do. For each step in your process, presumably there's some communication in your communications inventory that supports that step. So we want you to start with the first phase of your process. We want you to start with the communication that begins first. I want you to identify it somehow. Maybe if there's an identification number in the communication inventory. If there's not, you can create one. Be creative. So you have this first communication. What we want to do now is what are the follow-up communications, and in what phase of the process do they occur? So maybe after you send an initial email, you're sending a letter as a follow-up. We imagine that there will be some branches in these things. So maybe there are folks who respond to the email, and they respond to the email by coming to a particular program. And maybe there are those who don't respond to the email, and so you send them a follow-up. And then maybe those people follow up and show up to the program. So we want to see here the flow of both the order of the communications and how one follows up on another. We want to identify, so if you have decision points in your process, this is probably how they're going to play out here in this chart. So you've got communications going throughout the process. Once you've laid out your process and your communications and joined them together in this way, another thing we want you to think about is how are you segmenting the students with whom you're communicating? If we're talking about an admissions process, then maybe they segment it by the students who have submitted an application, students who have visited, and students from whom they haven't had any contact whatsoever. If you're going through the residence life process, so maybe you've got students who have to live on campus, sophomores, students who may live on campus, juniors and seniors, students who have applied for housing, students who haven't applied for housing. So however you're breaking up the groups of students with whom you're communicating, we want you to think about that. Last thing that we want you to do is give us a sense of volume. In each phase of the process, how many students are you communicating with? Is it 5? Is it 50? Is it 500? So for each phase, you've got how you've divided up the students that you're speaking with, and you've told us how many you're talking to. One of the challenges for you guys is going to be to figure out how to lay this out physically. Maybe use Excel, maybe use PowerPoint. We can work through that. If somebody has a great idea on how to present it, that would be fantastic. But this is the base of what we're talking about, and I expect you guys will have questions for me. Thanks.